Hello, folks, and welcome to Eagles Power Hour. I am your host, Patrick Frakes, and I'm sorry for the weird introduction here. So I recorded this episode with Eagle defensive coordinator Eric Sanders last Thursday, and then I ended up leaving for spring break, and so I'm home on spring break right now. I ended up getting very sick, and I don't have most of my stuff to record with me, so we're just having to record this on my phone really quick, just to get you guys a quick introduction to lead into the interview. So, thank you guys for listening. Interviewing Coach Sanders was awesome, and I hope you guys enjoy, and I'm really excited about this Eagle defense looking forward. Can't wait to see everyone out at spring practice and the spring game. And so, I hope you guys enjoy this interview with Coach Sanders.
Alrighty, and we are here joined by new Eastern Washington defensive coordinator Eric Sanders. Eric, how's your day been going so far?
Great. Yeah, early start, getting a lot done.
Awesome. So, like I just said, Eric is the new defensive coordinator. He's taken over this year. How was your first couple months as defensive coordinator gone overall? Just how has it been? Have you been enjoying things?
Really, really good. I'm enjoying it a lot. I'm excited about the opportunity, really appreciative to Coach Best for letting me have this opportunity. I think he would say I had a year-long interview and earned it, and that's great, but I really appreciate his faith in me. And also, our other defensive assistants and players have been really, really supportive with this transition. And so ultimately, like, it's the players on the field, right? That's not what they're not going to assess my ability in the meeting room. They're going to assess our players on the field. So they've been really supportive. I've appreciated it.
Yeah, everyone that I've talked to, super excited about the energy you're bringing and the potential on the defensive side of the ball. Because I mean, obviously the last couple of years haven't been up to the standards. So I think a lot of people are excited to kind of see the changes where that will come on the defensive side of the ball. And kind of speaking of changes, I think one of the big questions that I was getting from people is, are we going to see any kind of schematic changes? Are we going to stick with kind of the 4-3? Are we going to switch some things up? I know with the hiring of Coach McDonald, he was listed as an outside linebackers coach. And so
Hmm.
people are wondering, are we going to be seeing any schematic differences that are pretty major?
Well, I'll give you a non-answer to that question. Like, I don't believe in the characterization of 4-3. I
Sure.
think it's an easy way to describe what you're doing. Are you a 4-3? Are you a 3-4? Are you a 4-2-5? We're all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're going to put guys wherever they can help us for that role, for that situation, for that play, for that defense. Um, so, like, when you say, are you a 4-3? Well, our roster is built to be a 4-3, sort of, quote unquote. We have
Mm-hmm.
a certain number of D tackles, a certain number of defensive ends. But when guys watch spring ball, um, you'll see 5D linemen on the field. You'll see 3D linemen on the field. Like, we're not going to get caught up in, well, this guy's an end, so he has to do this thing. No, uh, guys are going to move and try different things, and we're going to see if we can't find another couple ways that somebody can help the team play good defense.
Man, that's interesting to hear. That's awesome because I mean, it definitely was. It felt like a 4-3 most of the time last year, and so it'll definitely be interesting to kind of see things get switched around and that definitely the defense is. I mean, I'm more of a defensive minded guy when it comes to football, and so
Right.
I'm definitely going to be watching the defense pretty closely this spring ball. So speaking of spring ball, obviously spring ball starts on March 18th. I'm not totally sure when we're going to release this, but who and what should Eagle fans kind of be looking out for? Is there any specific names of guys that you expect to be getting some time that haven't, or is there any specific things that you would want Eagle fans to notice, like, hey, this is something that's going on?
Yeah. Well, I point to maybe two or three things. Like, first off, if you come to practice, I hope people do. Like, what I hope that you notice about our defense is, man, these guys are out here working hard. Like,
Hmm.
our coaches are pushing guys in their individual drills. These guys are chasing the football If they got to run 50 yards to go tag off the ball carrier in a drill, they should be doing that. Like, we're going to practice what we need to do on game day, and that's play with tremendous effort. Two, we are hopefully going to be very apparent that we are communicating, over communicating. And so just seeing guys talk to each other on the field before plays, during plays, coming back to the sideline, and after a team period, guys getting on the same page about how did you see that route, whatever that might be. Like, that's one of the basic principles of our defensive identity is communication. And then three, and this just kind of my personality, man, I hope you see enthusiasm in our guys. Like, we coach celebration around here. So if I was going to point to one guy who is kind of the team leader in celebration, I would say Bishop Blakely, who might not be a guy that everybody knows that name, but like, you can ask elementary schoolers around here, they know who Bishop is. And that guy is a ball of energy, enthusiasm. If anybody makes a play, one of the DBs picks off a pass, Bishop would be out there dancing with him. So like, we point to him as a guy who carries himself how we want to carry ourselves.
Yeah, man, these young linebackers specifically are kind of a group that I'm so excited to watch, especially this spring. Bishop, Amani, all those guys. Just, man, I'm so excited to see those guys grow because, I mean, you are a linebackers coach, or at least was a linebackers coach, and kind of am still. But, man, I'm so excited to watch these guys develop. And, obviously there's some older guys that got a lot of playing time last year, but really excited to see which young guys step up and, hey, maybe they go take someone's job. Like, I'm really excited to see the growth of that linebacker group. Speaking of the linebackers, is there anyone, I guess you already kind of hit on Bishop, is there anyone in the linebacker room that you specifically are really excited to see their development this spring and into 2024?
Well, first off, I wouldn't say it's necessarily a linebacker thing. Like, let me draw a parallel. When I was coaching the NFL, you might sign a 32-year-old player, and like, whatever you saw on the film, that's what that guy was. He wasn't really going to change himself 10 years into his career as a pro. That's not the case with college kids. Since I went back to coaching at Stanford, like, it really became apparent to me, these kids change their body during the off season. They change their level of football IQ, their technique. Kids grow. I mean, you're going to literally see a growth of 25 or 20% if they play 5 years of college football of their career in the next year. So these guys should make huge jumps, not just at linebacker, at every position, offense, defense, special teams, across the country. Guys improve in college, a little bit different than the NFL. So I'm excited about everyone on our defense.
Yeah.
As far as it pertains to the linebackers specifically, I mean, we have a couple freshmen, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 of them that, these guys weren't in the 2 deep last year, that they're fighting for the 2 deep. And, like Miles Mayovsky is a great example of that. Sometimes he helped us as a scout team running back last year, and our starting defense had trouble tackling him. If you went back and looked at his high school tape, he was a great high school running back. And that's one of the things that I look for in recruiting. The kids who get scholarships to go play college tailback or receiver, they're the best athletes on the field. Well, if we need to tackle those guys, we have to be a similar athlete. So why don't we go find a good high school tailback who happens to be big and tough and wants to lead, and put him on defense in college? Now, he might actually be able to keep up with that guy. So anyways, I'm, not specific anybody. I'm excited about all these guys.
Yeah, no, I share a pretty similar feeling. Like, I'm so watching some of these guys, like high school tape, because we haven't seen them a ton on the field. You just get excited about the potential, because a lot of these guys are just athletes, man. And then you look at Bishop, and Bishop looks like one of the most jacked dudes on the entire team. And so, you just get excited for the potential for these young guys, because, I mean, linebackers is one of those spots that has been, scrutinized a little bit from Eagle fans. And so, I'm excited to see the growth, see the young guys get in there. And I keep saying that, but I played linebacker in high school. I'm thinking about them. I'm excited for them.
Yeah, I think just to follow up on that, our linebackers would strongly identify with any good defense has tremendous leadership from their linebacker group, period. They may or may not be the best players on the team, but like, we identify as the heartbeat of the football program. So this is just me speaking as a linebacker coach, not as a coordinator. Um, they interview the quarterback after a 2-minute drive. What'd you see? How'd you win the game? The only reason we were in the game was because the defense played to a certain level, because the offense played to a certain level. And the reason our team is at that level is because of the tempo that was set all week in practice, all training camp, all summer lifting and running, all off-season training. Who sets that tempo all day, every day? The linebackers. So, without a hesitation in my body, we set the tempo for the entire program in the linebacker room. That's responsibility. Linebackers are leaders. You got to own it. We're going to call you out for how your locker looks, not just how you tackle the guy with the ball.
Yeah, man. Oh, I'm so juiced for these young dudes. Dude. I get so excited thinking about it, thinking about having like a dominant linebacker core. Because I think when you look back kind of Eastern history, like the teams that really succeeded, both on both sides of the ball, but primarily the teams that had the better defenses always had a stud or a couple studs on the linebacker core. You think of J.C. Sherritt, you think of a Ronnie
Mm-hmm.
Hamlin, you think of a I don't know Kettner Cup even, and so I'm really excited to see who that next guy is who comes in and is just he inserts himself as the guy at that linebacker spot. And maybe it's not as much of a the guy, but the unit as a whole in the future. But just really excited because I think again that linebacker spot's so important in most defenses, but it has been historically a very important spot for the Eastern defenses in the past. So I'm so juiced for that, man. Well, here's the big question. Obviously, the run defense has been a problem the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
What are the steps being taken, and how are we going to take a step up on that defensive side of the ball, primarily in the run defense here, looking forward to 2024 and years beyond?
Well, I think one, run defense is a whole program issue. It's not a defensive issue. And so that's something that's going to be emphasized from Coach Best on down, that what we do as a team, we need to tackle better. We need to get off blocks better. We need to create more disruption and be a better run program. And so hopefully that leads to us running the ball better on offense and stopping the run better on defense. Ultimately, from my perspective as a defensive coordinator, I thought toward the end of last year, being able to go back and look at it and just sort of evaluate what went well and what went poorly, we got to the point towards the end of the year where we were trying to be perfect. We were trying to fit everything the right way and do our jobs perfectly, almost in desperation to be able to slow down the run game. And ultimately, that's not how good defense is played. Good defensive players attack first and foremost. And so, this is something that we addressed in our first unit meeting this winter. I got up and told the guys, our defensive mantra going forward is act right, attack, communicate together. And number one in that is attack. Like, be less right, but go forward. And so, we're literally going to try to be 180 from what we were towards the end of the year, not necessarily schematically, but Coach, did I fit that right? I don't care. Did you hit the guy in the teeth and knock him backwards? That's how you screw up offensive execution. And sometimes they gain yards when you screw up offensive execution. But generally, when things don't go according to plan, that favors the defense. And so there will be good plays, there will be bad plays, but there will be attacking from our defense. And that's at all three levels. You could be a corner, you're going to attack the run game. You could be a safety, you could be a D tackle, you could be a linebacker. Go get them, take the fight to them. That's going to be our approach to, and I've seen it happen. We went from, in the Cleveland Browns, 2016 to 2017, we were 31st in the league in run defense. This next year, we were second. Mm-hmm. It was a tremendous difference that Greg Williams made by getting those guys to attack. And so I'm trying to take a page from his book that way.
Yeah, that's a interesting comparison because that I believe that's the historic Browns year of that's the Ophir season, isn't it? And then
that's
you go
right,
on
it is.
Yep. And so, man, it gets me excited. I forgot about that. Now that I'm thinking about that, that's a really interesting comparison. Thinking about, man, I think when you think about the historic Eastern defenses that have succeeded. and I talked about Greg Peach with this in our episode a little bit. They were the ones that just their coaches were just go attack, play free. Like scheme matters, but go make a play. And you know, I kind of had a similar, I guess, analysis after watching the tape. Is it's like it didn't feel like we're getting out physical and those types of things. It was just like so close. And if you get
Mm.
just a little bit more pursuit, just get a little bit more, you know, just a half a step more anticipation. That run defense is so like just a whole tier above where it was. And so
Mm.
I think there's a lot of potential on this run defense, especially with all the young talent coming up, some of the older guys getting more mature, getting more playing time. Obviously, we brought a lot of guys back that I think a lot of Eagle fans didn't know were coming back on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, at least for me, I thought Brock Harrison and Jacob Newsom were gone, and looking at the roster, it's like, oh, these guys are back. Whoa, we got a lot more guys on this defensive front than I thought. You know, you start looking and thinking, okay, I'm kind of liking where this is going. I think there's a lot more potential than maybe a lot of people realize in this Eagle defense. Just looking at the numbers the last couple of years. Well, is there any other kind of little comments and stuff like that that you have about just football, being the new DC, all that type of stuff?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I just maybe you mentioned Brock and Noose. I will say, one, I feel very fortunate that those guys are back.
Yeah.
Those guys really care. They are good leaders for us because they take their responsibility very seriously. And so I feel very fortunate to have them. One thing that I'm really we haven't talked about, but I'm really excited about in terms of being the coordinator. When I was a linebacker coach, I could have those guys over to my house and have dinner and be able to fellowship with them. But I didn't get to have that relationship with the entire defense necessarily. You get to know them at practice, and I'm an energetic guy and talk to everybody. But ultimately, this winter, I've been able to week after week, and thanks to my wife for this, but we'll have one position group a week over to have pizza with us and just kind of hang out with my family and get to know each other better. And that's been wonderful. Like, ultimately, these guys don't know it as 22-year-olds. They're so wrapped up in how can I bench press more? How can I be a better man coverage player? How can we win a championship? And man, I want them to be full speed ahead on all those things. But when they're 40, they're going to remember the relationships. And that's what I'm really excited about, trying to take what I've been able to do the last few years as a college coach with my 10 linebackers and do that with 50 defensive players and coaches. Because, on the field, attack, communicate together, for sure. That's what we're about. That's not the highest goal. The highest goal is for them to tell the people they love that they love them. Like, it's about connection in this life. So I don't know that that's about football. I see it as about coordination. That's who I am. That's what I try to bring to these guys, and I'm getting to bring it to more than just the linebackers now. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, man, that's awesome to hear. It's always a lot of coaches like to bring that up, and I think fans maybe don't think about it as much. But yeah, it's always great to hear. Like, you got to think. Most people say, "Hey, college was the best or the most fun 4 years of my life." You got to think like those relationships and the guys is what those players really remember and reflect on and tell stories to their kids about. So yeah, that stuff's awesome to hear.
You don't think about it when you're 18, but you're sitting in your first team meeting, and the best man in your wedding is in that room, and you haven't even met him yet.
Oh yeah,
it's a real thing. So
such an interesting how sports bring people together, man. Okay, we're gonna get off football a little bit just for these last couple minutes of the talk here. You've been a Cheney for a year and a few months now. What's your favorite thing to do in the area on your? I know they're rare, but on your off days when they come as a D1 coach?
Yeah. Okay, so we have a little family tradition on Sunday mornings. It's not in Cheney. Okay, we live out near the golf course, so it's still technically Cheney, but we're halfway between school and downtown Spokane. So we take our two little kids. We have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, and we take them to Get Air. It's like a trampoline, indoor
Yeah.
trampoline park. And so 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock, they got little kid time at Get Air. And so free plug for those guys. We take our two kids and they go jump up and down for 2 hours and get exhausted. And then we go family trip to Costco and get Costco pizza for lunch. And that's kind of a thing that we've been doing consistently on Sunday mornings this off season. And, you know, football coach is a busy job. I don't get to be around my family as much as somebody else might. And so I'm very appreciative of that little tradition that we have and being able to sit there and have a fruit smoothie with my sons, you know?
Yeah, man, I spent some time at Get Air in my time
There you
over
go.
the Spokane area. That's for sure. That place is fun.
It's a good workout for dad.
Oh yeah, it's a good workout for everyone that goes, man. Well, and then we're gonna wrap this thing up here. What's your favorite part of the local community since you've gotten to Cheney a year and a half ago?
Hmm. You know, I've enjoyed the game day atmosphere here. You know, we don't. I've coached in some interesting places. Coached a game at University of Oklahoma or University of Oregon, where there's 80,000 people in the stands, and we don't have that. But I've really enjoyed our game day atmosphere and the enthusiasm about the football program. And I know that's only going to be better when we get back to winning games like we have in the past. So that's been a fun thing. It's just kind of be a part of the football community here. I know the athletic department in general, not just football, but the athletic department is kind of the front porch of our university. It
Sure.
brings people to campus. So yeah, I've really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I think the game day atmosphere at Roos is one of the more underrated in really in the country. And obviously we've had a few poor, environments with some of the down years, but man, when that place gets, 90% capacity, that place is fun, man. Maybe it's not
Yeah,
the loudest stadium I've ever heard in the world, but it's fun, energetic. The energy is so much fun, and a lot of opposing fans are like, "Oh, high school state, all that stuff." But then you go to their games, and I don't know if they have much more fun, much more fan engagement, and all that stuff. To be completely honest with you, hey, maybe I'm biased, but being a
yeah,
guy that's been to games at U of I and been to games at Eastern, maybe U of I is a little bit louder when they have 14,000 in a dome, but I'll always take the Eastern environment over the Kibby Dome. I'm sorry, and I'm gonna get murdered for that from the people that I go to school with, but alrighty. Well, to wrap things up, is there any final comments you have here before we get done here?
no, appreciate your time. Good
Yeah,
conversation.
appreciate your time, Coach. And yeah, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. Thanks for listening, everyone. Go Eagles.
Go Eagles.